Welcome to the Miniatures Papers. Today we're going to talk about my Celestial Vindicators from Stormcast Eternal, my new army, and how I base coated them. Alrighty, welcome back. Well, here is my first Celestial Vindicator from my Stormcast Eternals army, and I'm going to show you how to do the base coat. I'm going to start off black primered everything, and now we're going to hit it with a white zenithal highlight using Style Res primer, white primer as well. And this is how I achieve this. So if you're trying to build Celestial Vindicators, this is the first step in the process on how I did it and achieved that blue, and also have tones within the blue. It's important that you realize that when you paint something blue, there are higher highlights and lower shadows that need to be accounted for. So whatever color you're painting, and if you're painting blue, you need to have almost like a whiter blue or a lighter blue on the top and a darker blue on the bottom. Here goes where zenithal priming or zenithal highlighting comes into fact, where you really are putting on a base or bottom coat, a bottom layer that has the white and then has the black in it. So when you do paint it your base color, it'll appear, since base colors are transparent, the paints that we work with in this acrylic, that it'll show through where the highest highlights are and the deepest shadows are, and you have something to build upon. You can up the contrast and make it look dynamic as well. Okay, starting with this base coat, we're going to do some Sotek green from Citadel layering paint, and I like this green, or bluish green. I think it's a great base coat for it. There are other ones you can use. P3 has Troll Hide, which is really good. Also, you can start off with a really deep turquoise from Vallejo game color that also has a very good base coat for this. Now I played around with a lot of different greenish blues in order to be able to get to something where I'm happy with, and this is where I'm happy. Using the Sotek green as that base coat, as that first layer, I like the look of it. It's dark without being too dark, and I don't want it to get so close or too light. And the reason why I don't want it too light is because I really don't want it to creep into my Space Wolves army and get lost in the mix in that case. Alrighty. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to hit it with Temple Guard Blue. And Temple Guard Blue is a lighter than Sotek Green. It's the next level up. It's sort of like that mid-tone going into the highest highlight. But this is not the highest highlight. It's just going into that, and it's a step towards that highlight itself. So we're just taking it one step up, one gradient up, or one half step up, I should say. Now this isn't a competition miniature. Like, in other words, this is not going to be a miniature that I'm going to put in a showcase for the Capital Palette or any other painting competition. This is my tabletop ready, and I really just want to wow people at my game store or wow people in the area. So that's what I'm going for. So I'm not doing 20 layers up, I'm doing just a couple. Now I'm mixing in some white from Rowney FW Acrylic Artist ink, and I put in a couple of drops of that ink. It's highly pigmented, so be careful, you can oversaturate your paint. But what I had was, I had the Temple Guard Blue, and I still had it in the cup, and then I added 2 drops of the FW ink in there to really bring it up very light. And this is for my extreme highlights. This is the one I'm going. Again, if this was a competition mini, then I would have gone Sotek green, and then I would have blended in some Sotek green with some Temple Guard Blue for a transition color, and then I would have led it up to Temple Guard Blue, and then I would have led up to Temple Guard Blue with 1 drop of white, and then Temple Guard Blue with 2 blobs of white, and then Temple Card Blue with 3 drops of that ink white. So it's just really transition like that, but since it's not for competition, I'm just going straight for the Sotek green to the Temple Card Blue and just adding some white in there, and it comes out with a fantastic transition in my opinion. But it's not all about the airbrush here. You do have to use your paintbrush with the way I base coated these. And I'm going to take you over to my wet palette here. And what I'm doing is I'm getting a glaze. Got the Sotek green, and I'm using Vallejo Glaze medium. And I'm adding some water to it as well. I'm tremendously watering it down. You see me using my desk to check to see it is. Dip my brush into water, dip it into the glaze medium, and then dip it into the paint, and then just wick it off, and just lightly tone it up. And I am not going to spend hours on showing you how to paint a little line, blend in the transitions. And why am I doing this? Because when you do airbrush, sometimes the transitions are a little harsh. So you want to kind of smooth out those transitions to really get a flowing color from one blend to another, really get those buttery like blends going through. So here is the secret weapon, using that glaze and glazing the color from one to the other. Now you can glaze it into the white, or you can glaze it into the darker spectrum. But if you're glazing it into the lighter spectrum, start from the shadowy kind of area and push it away up, because where you lift your paintbrush is where the most paint is going to get deposited. If you're going down to shadow, the opposite. Start from the lighter area and push the paint into the shadow so you can get the darker color, and you can create that transition either way. All right, next up, I'm going to show you the same process with the Sotek green, Temple Card Blue, and then mixing it with that white FW Rowney ink to get that effect. In fact, I'm going to start base coating this right here with the Sotek green, and I am not coming from zenithal priming with this one. And the reason why I'm not doing that is because I'm going to create an ethereal kind of line that goes straight through it. And with that effect, what I'm going to do is going to hit the area with that Sotek green, and then I'm going to come back and do a line of Temple Guard Blue, a wide one, and then I'm going to mix the lighter FW white ink with the Temple Guard Blue and create a stripe. But while I'm at it, I'm going to base coat the head, because I always work in sub-assemblies, and this is how I sub-assemble that. I assemble what I possibly can, and whatever interrupts like any detail behind detail, I always do it separately. I'm using corking, and I'm using little nails and some poster tack to keep that in there. It's the most non-evasive way, I feel, that you can actually put your miniature in sub-assemblies without hurting the paint or anything like that. A lot of people like drilling into the pieces. It's not my thing. Don't forget the arm too, because the arm is connected to the hammer, so you have to be careful only to try to hit the areas that are actually plate. And you got to do that throughout the model. So this is a similar process that you can do on all Judicators or any of the Stormcast Eternals Celestial Vindicators. There is the model with the Temple Guard Blue, and I'm hitting it with the white and the FW ink streak right now, just to bring up that transition. I just did a stripe there to add variance to it. I was just playing around. I like the look of it personally. I think all my guys are going to have some kind of stripe or some kind of white on their shield just to blend it up. Also, zenithal highlighting the head. I can't express how important that is to add dimension to the face. Faces, bases, and banners are what you notice on a miniature in an army. So the face is extremely important that you have a high contrast, and I did that by eliminating the Temple Guard Blue and just going straight to the whitened up Temple Guard Blue with the FW inks. Now for the last bit here, I am actually going to paint the arm just on the top pieces where I feel the light is coming from, and that's how I base coat my Celestial Vindicators. Check the pictures. Well, here it is, the first of my Judicators actually complete in the Celestrial Vindicators paint scheme. Now, there's going to be quite a few tutorials as I learn how to play around with Stormcast Eternal models and everything else for my new army. Now, I'm trying to create an army for the Nova Open next year and possibly compete in a GT for Age of Sigmar. There you go. So there's going to be quite a few tutorials on each branch of, or each unit of factions or different units that I have within the faction. So this way you could look forward to a lot of different tutorials. Now, I didn't give up my Death faction, which I have plenty of. I just felt like painting up some Stormcast Eternals and have that as well, just to vary it up a little. And don't worry about your Space Wolves. There's going to be plenty of tutorials coming up for those, including a Knight. Well, if you like this video, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time on the Miniatures Paintbrush.